even or odd, in childhood, especially in those moments of choosing who will play first or who will start the game or who will be chosen. For some task, the good old game of even or odd was there. I remember a technique that a friend taught me in childhood, which was to always say odd and play the hand showing 1, and if I had to say even, I would also play the hand showing 1, but it goes for any odd number. After learning this, I started to win most of the time in this game. But is even better than odd when we are building teams, which by the way happens every day. After all, they are work colleagues who follow new paths. In the past, they are new colleagues who arrive, and in this way, we adapt as possible. And in this adaptation, we have a path that we need to follow, which is continuity, which we need to assign tasks to some, activities to others, so that everyone performs as best they can, and so we realize that teams end up being built in different formats, with different talents and experiences, yet the direction of their efforts has the same focus. Much is said about the team format to have a faster and more objective performance. However, it is common for some people to end up concentrating more knowledge, which are the people I will call odd, as they end up taking on work from colleagues who left or who ended up leaving. If you know what I mean, these odd professionals stand out for the accumulation of expertise and different activities that they end up taking on. There are also those who, for the time they do a certain task, become true specialists in it, which makes them feel calm and fulfilled in that activity. It doesn't hurt to mention that being odd is not a problem at all, as they are exceptional professionals in their work and who become, in many cases, the company's famous irreplaceable. And how does he go about taking vacations, for example? He can. There are also teams that are formed by pairs, that is, there will always be more than one person for a given task. But this person who is assigned as a peer, preferably cannot be a peer of others. Otherwise he would become odd. This is care that happens, and of course that famous question comes up. So does this mean that I will need to double the number of employees in my company, in order to assemble a team, with the concept of pair? And the answer is, no, in companies that want to adopt this principle. The employee who is a peer does not necessarily need to work in the same area, as precisely this provides rotation of experience, generating synergy between teams. Since the professionals present participate and end up getting to know a little also from other areas, adopting a dynamic and flexible profile over time. This type of concept is exactly the opposite of the famous irreplaceable comma. Because working in pairs, the biggest impact, that is when the professional takes time off or gets sick or takes vacation, ends up reducing, since there is always some kind of impact. But it ends up being managed with more ownership and security. And is this the only way to combat the irreplaceable profile? Certainly not. The irreplaceable fallacy also generates comfort for many professionals. However, they are bombarded with activities, and it can be very cool for a while. The mental exhaustion that many professionals in the IT area suffer is often due to this accumulation of activities. However, the closer monitoring of the behavior of these professionals does not always happen at the same speed as the stress that accompanies them, and ends up being seen as normal, or is just a phase, or that it is part of the person's behavior, and it is not. In teams that don't work behind closed doors, being graced with the possibility of coming and going, without so much control over the time they leave their desks, or the time it takes to go to the bathroom, or the time it takes to clear up a doubt with a colleague. The odd profile can exist and coexist without any problem, in the possibility of transferring or sharing activities with other colleagues is more common and possible, allowing the continuity of their work, even in their absences. It is worth remembering that the work carried out is an achievement of each professional. Now even greater is when this professional is able to disseminate and delegate his activities to more people, not overloading anyone and keeping the workflow closer to normal. When it is absent, and that is very positive, delegate whenever possible. One of the biggest fears of delegating or disseminating knowledge with someone else on the team or outside it, valuing the continuity of care for day-to-day tasks, is to cause the impression that your work is no longer necessary, and it is clear that in some companies this is seen in this way. Therefore, for other companies, this is seen as quality and as being a leadership talent present in this professional. So if you are in a company that does not see this noble attitude of yours, of valuing the continuity of your work, the dissemination of knowledge, it is a very positive feedback for you to think about changing companies and looking for one that values this profile of yours. Whether even or odd, seek continuity, not adding too many responsibilities to yourself in order to impair the quality of your work, which is unique and bears your brand. Good job!